So thank you all for joining us. My name is Maya Corbett. I am the founder of Denari Financial Education Academy, whose mission is to provide fun, educational, and interactive tools for parents and caregivers to help them teach children financial literacy. My guest today is Misty Wall. She's a CPA and a mom who is the author of the children's book, Molly Earns Her Pie. Thank you for joining us, Misty. I'm excited to have you here.
Yeah, thanks, Maya. I'm excited to finally get to talk to you.
Yes, yeah, we've talked quite a bit over social media, but
Yeah.
this is definitely exciting. So tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you end up in financial literacy field? How did you become a CPA?
Yeah, so I actually, believe it or not, started off in college pursuing art. I thought I was going to be an interior designer. And along the way, I kind of discovered that I didn't really like that style of learning. It was so subjective. And I kind of missed something more black and white where your answer is wrong or right. Things are either correct or they're incorrect. So I decided to, a year into pursuing art, I switched gears and decided I would just switch to business and then kind of figure out from there what I liked. And so along the way in business, I took an accounting course and it just clicked with me. I really enjoyed it. I liked it and I felt like I could be good at it. So from there, I decided I wanted to become a CPA. So that was that.
That was that. And so, when you became a CPA, did financial literacy resonate with you right away, the importance of financial literacy, or did that come later on?
I think it always has. I feel like I have two other sisters, and I think they were always a little easier going with their money, didn't like to save, big spenders. And I was always that child that liked to save my money. So I think I've always kind of had that mindset for money. And I kind of liked what I loved about accounting was finally getting to see how to, truly account for money. I felt like that's something so necessary that a lot of kids don't get exposed to in school. And you don't really get exposed to it until college, if you decide to take accounting.
So did you learn about money at all in school, in
No.
elementary school?
No, and I recently saw one of the things that you had posted, and I felt like I could completely relate to that. That I know that I really didn't learn about money in school. Maybe I learned how to write a check in home ec, I think, along the way. But in college, I remember, I think you had said something too about you learned how to, impute interest on or something like that in calculus, but nothing that actually pertained to real life. So it wasn't until I chose to take accounting in college that I felt like I had been exposed to this whole new world. It just opened up so many doors for me to truly understand the way that businesses work.
Right. And I find that, that happens a lot with people that don't choose business as their primary career goal. And it was like that for me because I thought I was going to end up in sciences. So I took sciences and I never took a single business course in high school. And I find that a lot of us who choose different paths, like for you, it was interior design or decorating. And then, you take this, eventually you end up taking some sort of business or finance course. And then, as you said, it opens up this whole new world, which is actually an important world. It's part of our everyday living, right? Which is kind of strange that, we don't learn about this in school. So, and so did your parents teach you financial literacy? What did you learn at home?
No. And, it wasn't like something that we talked a lot about. I don't think it was ever like a flat out conversation, to be honest. I was raised in a middle-class family for sure. But what I remember gathering and taking from my experiences of, living with my parents is that they just always were hard workers. My mom was a stay-at-home mom and my dad was an electrician, but I never once saw him complain. I feel like that set this, this silent foundation for me of how to view money. I think is first being able to work hard for your money. And so I guess that was the extent of it. When I, started making money though, I remember a pivotal point for me was when in summer, when 15 years old, I would babysit a lot. And, before you go to school each year, you go school shopping for clothes is usually the norm, when you're in grade school. And I remember that year, I was 15 and we were going to go shopping for clothes. And my dad said to me, well, you have money, so you can pay now. And I remember this, okay. And so I paid, and that was like that first lesson of seeing, how quickly your money can go. And from then I paid for so many things like that for myself from 15 and on. I just found myself really appreciative of everything else my dad was paying for. And at 16, after my first real job, we opened up a bank account, and that was fun for me. I found myself enjoying the saving aspect, seeing that number grow in your bank account. And then it was just from then, I've always been a saver.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. So you have a young son. How old is he?
He's 4 now.
He's 4.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, as a mom, why is it important to educate younger generations to be smart with their money?
Well, I truly feel that life is so much less stressful and more enjoyable if you're in control of your money. And I think to be in control of your money, you have to understand money, understand how it works, and how to account for it. So I think as a parent, my hope is that I can raise a self-sufficient person who is confident in everything that he does, and one of those things is being confident in money. So I just want him to be able to learn how to make money, how to save money, and how to use money. And I think will set him up, to succeed.
Right. That's wonderful. And then what prompted you to write the book? How did that all came about?
My big dream as a parent, especially because I'm in accounting, my dream is for my son to have a broad understanding of money before he gets to college. I feel like my eyes were opened in college to so many things that how cool would it have been if this would have been laid down for me as I was growing up. So I just feel like we were talking about that so many kids don't get exposed to it until college, if then at all. And I feel like if you have an understanding of accounting, then you have an understanding of financial statements. And if you can understand financial statements, you can understand how a business works. And then if you can understand how a business works, you understand better how to invest, right? So it's all these layers. So the way the book came about was just me backing into it. I said, he was 3 at the time. What's the first stepping stone that I need to lay for my son to get all the way up to here in this journey of money? And it was teaching him where money comes from. And so I wrote a book about where money comes from, and money must be earned is the lesson of the book.
Right. And I think you mentioned on one of my Instagram posts, because how actually, and we talked about the disconnect. And I mean, I've been doing this since 2012, and I noticed, and again, this is just what I noticed. I have no stats to prove it. I wish I actually recorded things so that I could have an actual proof. But I've done so many workshops for kindergartens, grade 1s, grade 2s. And for sure, kindergarten and grade 1, I've noticed that there's that disconnect, that they know their parents go to work and they earn money. But when we played games, and this is prior to COVID days when I could actually go inside the classroom, and I always find that to teach kids about money, especially when they're younger, there needs to be some sort of sensory, tactile, something that they can grasp and see. So we play a lot of games, and we have this bank account that's actually visible, and so the bank account is empty, and it's okay, how do we put money in here? How does the money get into the bank account? And they were just stumped. 99%, I think about 95%. I think it was actually 99% of the time. They're like, well, we don't know. We just put more money. We get it from the piggy bank. We get it from grandparents. And I'm like, no. What do your parents do? And they're like, oh, right. They go to work and they earn money. So it was that disconnect. And that's why I absolutely love your book, because it really helps with that disconnect with that younger age group.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with you. And I feel like they have such an opportunity. Once they learn it, it clicks with them, and they get it, and then they can move on. And it's such a base, I think, that children need to understand. So my son, he has grasped that really easy. And now, he understands that if he wants something, if he doesn't have the money, he'll say, oh, I need to do a job. And he knows there's just these 2 job opportunities in the house that he can do, but he will gladly run, do the job, and then he physically sees that money come into his hand or go like where we keep it in his room. So yeah, it's critical.
Yes, I was going to ask you, so how do you teach your son about earning money? Like, can you explain to everybody like what it is that you're doing? Because I love these interviews because I feel that, every author gets to share what they do at home. And I feel that it helps other parents. It gives them ideas. They may not necessarily do exactly the same thing that you were doing,
Right.
but they may do something similar.
Right. So, it just, I guess the first part was just teaching him the physical money. I've tried to use real money so he sees what it really looks like. And then the book really did help. Whenever I started writing the book, before I was even publishing it, I was reading the story to him just without the pictures and everything. And he kind of got a kick out of it. And then he loved being able to see it once it was in its published form. So beyond that, it's showing him physically. I just want him to be able to always see it. I feel like if you can see your money at all times, then it clicks for a young child. When you put it in a piggy bank, sometimes it's just hidden and it the lesson can kind of go away. So in his room, which I've done a post before, and I know you were nice enough to say that you
I
watched
really love that post. Yeah.
But
it was very, very creative. Shows your creative side.
Thank you very much. But yes, so I made like a wall chart where with the clear slat so that he can see where his money. So he has options. I've tried to just make it a distinction. There's chores, which are the things that we all do at our home that you don't get paid for. It's something everybody in the home does to contribute. And then jobs that people do extra to make money. And I relate that to mom and dad, just like you were saying, so that he understands mom and dad go to work to earn money. So with him, he has a couple jobs that he can do. They pay $1 or $2, very simple. And then he sees that money in his hand and he can put it like in the slats so that he can clearly see how much he has earned. And anytime we don't have enough money, he is the first one to say, "Oh, I can do a job." And so he gets excited by that.
What are the chores that he does that you don't pay him for? What are the chores that he does because he's a contributing member of your family?
Yes, now he's 4, so there are things he's expected to do. Set the table is one, which he actually enjoys doing, so that's been nice. Making his bed, which he does not enjoy doing, so he doesn't do it as often. And picking up his toys. So I kept them very simple, but I keep them written out like in little picture form so he can clearly see the difference between a chore and a job. Because I don't want him ever, at least in my home, I didn't get paid allowance growing up, and I just don't want him to ever get this thought that when we do chores or anything to help out around the house that we should get paid for that. To me, that's just something that you should contribute. I think it just helps him be a harder worker in life.
Right. And if you don't mind me asking, what are the chores that you do pay him for?
So, and I call them jobs. So he can sweep the deck, which is one I tried to make them like a little different. He can sweep the deck or put away laundry. It's kind of a chore, but so once I get done with laundry, if he helps put it away, he earns $1.
Okay. Very nice. So then now he knows if he wants something and he doesn't have enough money, he can actually do certain things to
and he
to
will
earn that money.
Exactly. Like if he doesn't have enough money, he quickly goes and grabs the broom and goes to our backyard deck and just starts sweeping, even if it doesn't need to be done.
That is so funny. What does he spend his money on so far? Like, I mean, he's 4. So I find that when my kids were younger, they would go to dollar store and maybe spend money there or toy store. But what about your son?
Exactly. It's toys right now. And I kind of just let it be that simple. I know that he doesn't place so much value on other things yet. So when it's a certain toy, if he really wants a certain toy, I will say, I'll explain that I'm not going to buy it for him, but if he wants to use his own money, he can. So we'll go and add it up. It does make it kind of tricky because sometimes it's so easy, and he is very familiar with, he understands there's Amazon. He understands there's that quick way of buying stuff. So I don't like getting on the phone, letting him pick a toy and then buying it that way, because sometimes he loses the connect between I just use my own money. So I like for him to bring his physical money to the store and pick out a toy. So right now it's just toys.
Right. And I think that's kind of how it was with my kids. Now that they're older, it has slowly shifted to more video games. And I'm assuming it would be different if it wasn't for the pandemic, but we're stuck at home and they can't really go anywhere and spend their money anywhere else. So it's video games. Quick question for you. How do you feel about the fact that when he wants to spend money on something, has it ever happened to you yet? I mean, I know he's very young, but has it happened that he wants to spend his money on something that you disapprove of? Or, you're not too happy about, but you're like, well, it's his money now. Like, how have you handled that situation?
Right now, like, I will try to explain why it's not a good idea, but I am just, since he's 4, I'm letting him make that decision. I kind of already have in my head the next step, which will be, I feel like around age 5, I'll start the conversation about saving and watching that money grow a little more so he can buy something better. But I know that's a little above him right now. So I kind of just let it happen. Even when I just think it's a silly thing and he's probably not going to like it, I go with it, because honestly, he's pretty good about, he doesn't ask often. So if he really wants it, like, I'm fine with it. I think it's more about him learning that lesson, like understanding the way money works.
Right. And so it's really interesting because I'm a big supporter of that. Like, I mean, I've had my kids buy stuff that I wasn't too thrilled about, but I do feel, and obviously, personal finance is personal. Like, we all get to choose what we spend our money on. So to me, I'm like, once I give that money to my children, I'm shifting the purchasing responsibility to them. So instead of me deciding what they should spend their money on, they're the ones deciding. And it is very hard sometimes for parents to watch that and kind of not interfere.
Yeah.
But I think the whole point of that is really for them to make their own mistakes. If that purchase is a mistake, right? Like, they will learn.
That's
and
true
I've had my kids learn and tell me, they bought some things and afterwards they were like, you know what, that was such a waste of money. That toy broke so quickly because it was so flimsy, right?
Yes.
So they've learned. They've also learned how to look for better deals and stuff like that. But I do want to go back to what you said. So teaching your son about money now and how money works and earning money is the first step. So the next step is saving, teaching them how to save.
Yes.
What are the other steps? Because I remember you said, like, at the beginning of this interview, it's kind of like layers, right? So what are the things, that you want to teach him over the years?
Yes. My dream, I guess it's just because I understand accounting. My dream is for him to, before he gets to college, understand the way financial statements work. I just have it really is like this dream that if I can just show him physically how an asset works, how a liability works, when he gets that money, how it would appear in a set of financials. I mean, I just imagine how much that can open doors for him, just the ease of him understanding the way things work. Should he decide not to go to college, I'm not going to be able to control everything, and he wants to open a business or whatever. I mean, that would have laid such a nice foundation for him. So I think after I teach savings, clearly, I'm kind of, as I go, I'm learning, because when you have a child, you see where their brain is at, like in these little stages. So I can tell around 5, he'll probably start grasping savings more. And then I feel like before I even can get to the ins and outs of investing, or maybe investing will come first. I guess I'm kind of like trying to see where his brain will be. I just have this I just would love for him to understand. I guess I'm hopeful that I will come up with a way that I can have written it down for a kid. I've always looked for books, and I don't think there is any accounting books for children. And that's kind of my dream. That was my dream when I wrote this book. And so I knew this was like the starting phase. I would love to write a way for children to grasp financial statements. And that sounds so boring, but I feel like I could make it really fun in a way. And just where they can see, the assets, the liabilities, the equity. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that is my ultimate dream. It's always in my head, and maybe one day I'll make it come true. I hope
you make it come true. I really do think that we need a book like that. And it's really interesting because I find that nobody has ever written a book like that.
Yeah.
And I also feel the same way about investing. Like, I have, just like here, I have some books on investing, and because financial statements, there's so much. Like, you're an accountant, I'm an accountant. I mean, it took us years to get here, right? Like, but I think the basics can be explained, right?
Yeah.
And same with investing. And I find that there aren't that many books for kids that deal with these things, especially not financial statements. And I feel like that could be a book that many parents would pick up and read, themselves, so they can understand financial statements, because nobody ever taught them.
Exactly. Don't you feel like, I just remember when I was taking accounting, that was one of the hardest things to grasp until it clicked, was the working out of the balance sheet and where things go and where a payable goes or whatever. And then
Right.
after
Once
I
it
now am
clicks.
here, you look back and you're like, it shouldn't have to be so tricky. Our whole lives we've dealt with assets, all of our money, right? Growing up, you understand what loans are and credit card debt, right? It could have easily already been, you could have been, applying that to a set of financial statements this whole time. And then by the time you get to college, that would have been a no-brainer, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
yes.
But I think you're right. Like it's also, we have assets, we have liabilities in
Yeah.
everyday life. So it's like, why can't we just apply this? Like, it would be so much easier if we learned it in school
Yeah.
earlier, and
Yeah.
then you can think in those terms, because I feel
Yes.
that majority of the people don't think like accountants. And
Absolutely.
I know, people are like, oh, I don't even want to think like an accountant. But I'm like, no,
Absolutely.
it's actually not.
Yeah. I know what you're
You know?
saying.
But I think it would be very helpful to a
Yeah.
lot of people,
I
just the
agree.
whole concept of net worth, assets
Absolutely.
minus liabilities. It's
Yeah.
so simple. But I think a lot of people have absolutely no idea what net worth is, not to
Yeah.
mention what their net worth
Yeah.
is, right?
Yeah.
So I hope you do write that book one day.
Thanks. I hope I do too, because it's, these are all words people hear and they don't realize that it applies to them. Like it's an easy thing to like put out on paper. So yeah, I hope I
Yeah.
can pull that off. That was the original dream, and this was just like the step to get there.
Right. It's funny actually, because I have this original dream to write a children's book, kind of like your Molly Earns Pie, but on
Okay.
investing.
Okay.
And just to cover the very, very basics of investing, but who knows? We'll see what happens with
Yeah.
that. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about your book?
Yeah.
Just whatever you think, people need to know. I absolutely adored it. I mean,
Oh, thank you, Maya.
the illustrations are beautiful. I love that it rhymes, and yet it has this lovely message.
Yes.
And it's just such a great book. I
Thank you,
mean,
Maya.
I think that, every child would enjoy it.
Thank you. That was kind of what I set out for. So the story just follows a monkey. Her name is Molly, and she wants to bake a banana pie. She goes to the grocery store, to the food mart, and realizes that she needs money to buy those ingredients. So she talks to her mom, or remembers her mom's lesson, and her mom had taught her that to earn money you must do a job. That money must be earned, and to earn money you must do a job. So she gets a job, earns her money, and is able to buy the ingredients, bake her pie, and then the pride that she feels from eating that pie that she has worked so hard for. I kind of set out, like, my hope was just to write a book in a fun way that like a child would want to listen to. So, I had jotted down several, when my son was 3. And then when I got to that one, I felt like that one was a good one. And I would read it to him. He seemed to enjoy it. So it teaches that most fundamental thing that I think is that laying that first stepping stone, which is, where does money come from? It has to be earned.
Right. It's absolutely lovely. And I know that you've done some readings, like author readings. I've seen that on your Instagram.
Yes.
And how did that go for you?
They're good. I look forward to, with the COVID restrictions, I have to kind of be far away, or we had to be outside. So I'm reading really loud, and the kids all enjoy it. But I do look forward to being able to be closer to children and, getting to read the story. I guess in a more intimate way, but it's gone well. I've gotten such great feedback from parents, and, of course the great feedback will come from all of my friends because they're just nice. But when I now hear it from people that I don't even know, it's like the most amazing thing when they say, my child loves this book. They now understand how to earn money, and they ask for this book again and again. So that's like the best feeling.
Right. It's like you know that you've added value to other
Yeah.
people's lives, and you're helping them transform their children's journey of financial literacy, right? Like, you're putting them on this wonderful path. So it's
Yeah.
absolutely wonderful. Have you heard anything, like any of the kids that have attended your readings, like, were there any comments from the kids? Like, how, was there anything silly or funny that they've said, or anything you'd like to share?
Well, the silliest thing that is just not money related is they think I'm famous, which is the most most humorous thing to me. But the earning, like, they have they understand where money comes from now, and they'll talk about getting a job and Molly having a job. And I just think that's the sweetest thing. So it's been cute.
That's adorable. And so what's next for you in
Um,
terms of career and book writing and teaching your son? And
yeah, I know that for my son, like I said, I just want to keep going with it. And I feel like he's going to guide me in the ways that I want to go next, you know? So I feel like saving will be coming next for him. You know, I'm a full-time CPA, so that kind of is my first priority. And the book has been a nice outlet on the side, and I hope that I can reach more people with this book, because I just feel like it's so helpful for parents to have. And it's such a fun book too. Like learning about money does not have to be boring, right? So that was like the fun thing. I know so many, you know, parents can benefit from this. And from there, we'll see. You know, I'm always jotting things down. We'll see if anything comes of my accounting for kids book.
that's amazing. So before we end the interview, do you want to tell people where they can find you? I will certainly post the links to your Instagram account and Amazon as well. But you know, you just want to tell people where they can find you, what, you know, if they need to email you or whatever you think it's important for them to know.
Yeah, I mean, if you're interested in learning anything more about the book, you know, I am on Instagram and Facebook, and Maya will have probably that linked in there. It's at Molly Earns Her Pie. The website is mollyearnsherpie.com, and you can buy it on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Walmart, Target. I know some of those options are not available in Canada, but it's $14.99, and if you want a signed copy, you can go to my website for that, or email me from there too.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much, Misty. This has been like such a lovely interview. I've
Thank you,
really
Maya.
enjoyed speaking with you. And I really look forward to your other books that you're going to write for us and make financial literacy more fun and
Thank
simple
you.
for the young people.
Thanks,
So
Maya.
again, thanks so much. Sign off now. Hey, everybody. Bye.
Bye.